Hello, welcome back to ReddyControls. Have you ever tried to handle arrays or strings in Studio 5000 and wondered how many elements do I actually have? The size instruction answers that question. It counts the exact number of elements or characters so your logic never runs out of bounds. In this video, we'll go through the 4 real-world uses with both arrays and strings and see how size instructions helps us build a smarter and safer PLC code. This video is part of a request video from one of the commenter on my previous video on working with strings or working with arrays, and the commenter requested me to make a video on size instruction. So if you want your next video, please drop a comment, like and share my channel. So the first example we're going to do is we'll just take a simple example which I already have here. It's a size instruction here, and I'm using the box label, the one which we used in the previous example with working with strings. And the size instruction has just 3 parameters, right? The first one is the string or array or string that we want to measure the size, and then the dimension to vary is the dimension, like the first dimension is 0, second dimension is 1, and the third dimension is 2. And then the where to place the result of the output is in a tag in the parameter called size. So in here what this instruction is doing is it's taking the box label dot data 0. We need to tell the size instruction which array to element to start from. So we do data 0, and then we are asking which dimension to count on and store the value in the box label size. So you can see this box label data. If you monitor the box label data dot 0, there are 82 elements in the dot data. That's why it's showing us size as 82. Couple of things to remember. It's inclusive. It starts from 0 to 81, total of 82. So if you are doing some math, make sure you subtract a 1 from the size result. Okay, that's one example. In the second example, say we have a temperature. Let's look up a tag. I created a tag called temperature. It's a DINT of 10, and we want to find out, say we want to find out how many elements we have in that temperature array, and this is how we use the temperature array. So we just use the size instruction. So you could insert and then type size and say OK. Now you have the size instruction here. So the source, I want to know how many elements I have in the temperature array, right? And I want to count how many, in which dimension to count, which is dimension 0 because it's a single array, and I want to store the data in temperature array size, right? So I'm using temperature here. So let's go ahead and assemble it. Size of 0, but see this question mark. So to avoid that, let's give it a index to start from, which is temperature 0. Right. So what this instruction did is it counted number of array elements in that temperature array, which is 10. So you can find out by edit properties, it's a DINT of 10. That's why the array gave us output of the size instruction gave us an output of 10, right? So where is this useful, right? Say if you have a file search compare and you want to dynamically loop without hard coding the size, that's where you can use a size instruction. Okay, and next example, say if we want to count characters within a string, right? And characters within a string, you can see we already did that one application where I want to count the number of characters in that string. I just use the string, but ensure you have a dot data 0 at the end and use this size instruction to count the number of elements. Okay. Next example, say if you have a recipe array and you want to count how many you want to find the size of each string data inside the recipe. So let's see how to do that. So I have already created, let's copy paste this guy, Control C here, Control V. What we want to do is I have already created a tag called recipe list, right? And if you look at the tag properties, it is a string of, it's an array of string, and the array size is 8, right? So we selected a recipe list and we want to start with the 0th array and then start with data 0, and we want to count number of elements. It's a single dimension array, so we just make it 0, and we want to store the result in recipe data size, right? So what this instruction did is it went through all the 8 elements, right? And since the string by default is 82 characters, it gave a size of 82. If we create a recipe list, let's say, let's copy paste this one. I will show you what I'm talking about. Let's close this guy here. So Control C, Control V. Say we create a new recipe, let's call it recipe 1 list, and say if we create this list a string 16, and we use a dimension of 0, say OK, and we say string 16 of say 10, right? And if I select 0th element, 0th array, and we want to start at the 0th data, and we want to save that into recipe 1 data size, we just create new and create. When we execute it, it gives us a array of 16, right? So that's how you can use this size, and this is size instruction to count the length of the string. This is useful when you loop through the recipes or batch data with dynamic string lengths. If you want to find out you might have a list of all the recipes, but you want to check the size, the number of the string lengths on each of the recipe list, that's when you can use it. The final example is we can use size for a dynamic loop. Say for example, I have box label. It goes from data 0 all the way to data 81, and if I want to search within each of that character for a match, I can use a size to run a loop. So I'll show you how to do that. So all we do in here is we already have the size instruction, so all we have to do is create equal to instruction. Function insert eq. It's no longer equ, it's eq, and let's say we create I created an index, and I already know my box recipe size. Box recipe is the box label size is 82, and if it's box label underscore size, if it's equal to, I want to insert move 0 into index, and then I want to make this a add instruction where I keep incrementing the index by 1. And okay, so what this would do is it will create a loop that keeps searching. This add should be at the front. So what this will do is it will keep adding 1 until the instruction, until the equal to instruction becomes 82 and we reset, right? So this is a simple kind of a for loop which keeps looking. And if I have a condition, for example, I want to look for a specific character in the string, I could just use I can use an equal to, and we know it's a box label dot data, right? So we'll say if box label dot data 10, say we have, let's look up what we have in 10. I just want to show you monitor, and box label data 10 is a 5, right? ASCII 5. So ASCII 5 is 53 in decimal. So if box data is 53, I just want to create a found bit. Just for showing it, I'll make it a latch so we can see. So we'll just use a found bit, create, and we assemble it, right? So what that would see, it automatically found. So let me change it to a OTE so we can see it. This data 10 is, oh sorry, I'm not indexing, that's why it's still high. So all I had to do is take my index and replace instead of 10 and say index. So you could see when index becomes 10, the found bit will be on. So you could see as the index bit becomes, it's moving too quickly that we can't find it. That's why I wanted to use a OTL to begin with. So we'll just use OTL now. But you get the concept, like how you can use the size instruction to do a search. So you could see the search bit found. So size instruction may look simple, but it's a very powerful instruction to make your code modular and future proof. We use it to count array elements, analyze strings, inspect nested structures, and control loops dynamically. Key takeaways is we can use array size count to count the number of elements in the integer or a DINT array. We can use size to count the maximum characters available in a string data array, or in an array of strings we can count the elements inside the string structure, or we could use it for dynamic loop controls where you control the index loops safely. If you like this video, please do share and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment about how you use the size instruction. If you had liked this video, you want to learn more about arrays, the link will appear for my previous video on the top right side. Until then, see you in the next video. Thank you.